Today should be quite an interesting journey for me because I'm heading out in my EV for what I think is probably the longest journey that I've taken so far on a single day. And what's going to make this interesting is that most of the trips that I take normally are on kind of town and country roads, and I get quite good mileage out of the car, quite good miles per kilowatt hour. But today I'm taking a longer journey. Most of it is going to be on the motorway. So it's going to be interesting to see just what happens to the range and economy and miles per kilowatt hour in this car on that kind of trip. Are there any EV drivers in tonight? EV drivers, yay, EV drivers, excellent. Do you know when EV drivers are in, don't you? Because they all have a mad rush for the exit, don't they, before the end? So they can get back and see if their cars are all right, don't they? See if the car park's collapsed. Hey? It's right, isn't it? I mean, I know that's true. I mean, there are car parks everywhere, aren't they? Piles of rubble from all those heavy Fiat 500Es, aren't they? And the Renault Zoes. Nissan Leaf, isn't it? Massively heavy, those cars. Whereas you'll find, of course, that a diesel Range Rover doesn't weigh a thing, does it? No, it doesn't, does it? Normally, I kind of pootle around town and sort of town and country roads, and on those kind of trips, I get on average probably about 4 miles per kilowatt hour. And on occasion, I do way better than that. I had 5.7 miles per kilowatt hour.
There's a lane closed on the A34 northbound. That's due to a breakdown from the Windsor roundabout.
Right, before I was interrupted by the traffic report there. So sometimes, 5.7. Now last week, I did amazingly well. I wasn't even trying, and I got 6.9 miles per kilowatt hour, which is nuts. But on average, I would say it's probably closer to 4, maybe even 3.5. So, you know, that's what I kind of get. The range that the car tells me that it's got is about 250 to 260 miles normally on a charge, on a full charge, which is around about what the WLTP rating says. Now, WLTP rating you get for all cars, not just EVs, and it's not supposed to be that accurate, in all honesty, but I am getting it on this car, but that might be because I'm not hammering it down the motorway every day. Actually, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story about an EV charging station. I went to an EV charging station. Don't worry, it gets better. I went to an EV charging station, and there were four EV chargers at this EV charging station. 4, and of the 4 EV chargers, 10 of them were broken. 10 of them were broken. I know, I was expecting it because I read the Daily Mail. And the Daily Mail is, of course, it's a newspaper, isn't it, the Daily Mail? It's a newspaper, yes. Apparently. And according to the Daily Mail, no EV chargers work, none of them, they don't work, they're always broken. So it came as no surprise to me at all, no surprise to turn up and find they weren't working. So, but I still joined the queue. I joined the queue because I'm British. Now today, I'm heading off for a meeting. I'm going to be driving up to Windsor from where I live on the south coast. And to do that, I'm going to be going on 2 motorways, the M27 and the M3. And I'm going to take a bit of a detour. I've left early. I'll take a kind of detour off, and we'll talk about why I'm doing that a bit later. And it means then I'm probably going to go on another motorway, the M4, to go from my detour point to Windsor. So I'm going to go on 3 motorways. So what is that going to do to my miles per kilowatt hour? It's going to be really interesting to see. I'm going through the New Forest at the moment, and most of the roads in the New Forest are 40 miles an hour. This particular one is a main route up through the forest, so this one's actually 60. When I left home, I reset the drive computer, and I'm at the present time I've done nearly 20 minutes of driving. I've done 8.5 miles, and my average is 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour, which I suppose is what I would kind of expect as I'm sort of tootling along here I'm doing 56. So there we go. But what is going to happen to that average, to that miles per kilowatt hour on my journey today when I'm on all of those motorways? It's going to be really interesting to see. I should, in theory, today I'm probably going to do about 180 miles, and in theory the GOM says that I've got 250, so I should have plenty of range in the car to go there and back without having to charge. But on the motorway, is the battery just going to drain? Is it just going to drop through the floor? I don't know, we'll find out. And if that happens, I may have to stop off and charge at a rapid, but that's fine. If I have to do that, that's no problem, because I'll have to stop anyway, probably for a comfort break, so I can just bung a few miles in when I do that. So that's the plan today. Let's see what happens, and let's see what happens to my miles per kilowatt hour when I start heading up the first of today's 3 motorways. And I joined the queue for the EV charging station, and in the queue, 768 cars in the queue there were, 768. But I was kind of expecting it, really. I was kind of expecting it because I read the Daily Express. And the Daily Express is a newspaper, I know, I read it on Wikipedia. It is a newspaper. So it can't possibly be printing lies, can it? Because that would be ridiculous. Okay, so I've just driven through Lyndhurst in the New Forest, and I'm just about to join the M27, and I've done 16 miles nearly, and my average is 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour, and I've been going for about half an hour. So what is it going to do as I now accelerate and join the M27? So 3.8, it's already dropped to 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour, and I'm still on the slip road. So what is going to happen now, because I'm going to do M27, and then I'm going to just join the M3. So M27, you can either keep going and go around to Portsmouth. I'm going to go on and go up the M3 towards Winchester, and then I'm going a bit further on than that. So I've got quite a few miles now to do on the motorway. So 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour, I'm on 90% on the battery, and I've got 236 miles of range on the GOM. So let's see what happens over the coming miles. So I joined the queue for the EV charging station, and 768 cars in the queue. And of the 768 cars in the queue at the EV charging station, 765 of them were Teslas. Of course they were. Of course they were Teslas. 765 of them were Teslas. White ones mainly. The occasional rebel who had a red one. Colourblind probably. Asked for a white one, got a red one. And of the 768 cars in the queue at the EV charging station, 765 of which were Teslas, 760 of them were on fire. Of course they were. They were on fire, weren't they? Of course they were. I read the Daily Telegraph, and I know that EVs constantly burst into flames. You must see them littered down the side of the road. It was in the Telegraph, so it must be true, because the Telegraph is a newspaper. It's a newspaper. It is an independent newspaper owned by independent people who only ever tell the truth. So it must be true. It must be true. It was in the newspaper. So I'm just joining the M3 now from the M27. I'm old enough to remember when you couldn't do this, when the M27, you came off the M27 and you had to drive away, quite a way up country to actually join the M3. I know, I don't look old enough, do I? You had to go up the A33 as it was then. And then there was a big load of hassle when they carved right through Twyford Down, which we'll be coming up to shortly. And yeah, a lot of people weren't very happy about that. I think for drivers, you know, it does make a nice difference. But if you like the environment and I'm along with those sort of people that I was very sorry to see the land get kind of carved up like that. But yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? You want to get from A to B, but at what price? Yeah, difficult one that. Anyway, I'm on the M3. Now, strangely, the miles that I've done, what have I done? I've only done about 8 miles down the M27 before I've joined the M3. And I'm 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour. So, yeah, so that's pretty good actually. And yeah, okay, that's all right. So my the battery though has gone down a good 10% since I left home, and I've done 25 miles. So work that out. Do the maths if you want to work that out. The Aria's got something on it which will adjust the speed limit for you automatically according to the road signs, but it will only do it on certain roads, and motorways are one of the roads that it will do it on. But of course the motorway has a 70 mile an hour speed limit, and if they reduce it, they put it on those boards up ahead as they just done there. But it doesn't recognise those. So having the auto speed limit adjust on the motorway is not that useful, maybe. I suppose sometimes they do put signs up, don't they, on the side of the road if they're digging it up. So it would adjust automatically then to whatever speed it says. So I suppose it's not completely useless. Oh my goodness, my average has now gone up to 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. Goodness, wonders will never cease. I honestly thought this was going to go through the floor when I got on the motorway, but it's not doing it yet. But it wasn't all bad, because of the 768 EVs, 765 of which were Teslas, and 760 of which burst into flames, there was somebody cooking a sausage over their burning car. There was. A vegan sausage, obviously, and they weren't standing too close because of large amounts of polyester, but they didn't go hungry, did they? See? So I've just pulled into Fleet Services, and I'm just having a look at the electric charging points in here. And there's a whole load. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 Tesla superchargers, and there's another 2 something electric app. Something electric. I don't know what they are. ARB electric. Now normally when I say things like that and I say, I don't know what those chargers are, I then get comments saying, why don't you know what they are? Tell us, why don't you know? And well, you know, I don't know. That's the fact. So anyway, I'm just going to park here for a quick comfort break and then carry on my journey.
If you're enjoying this content, make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell, and you'll know when the next video goes live. And if you're in the UK and you want to get £50 off your energy bill, you can sign up for Octopus Energy using the referral link on screen now. I'll get £50 too.
Well, as I was walking towards the service place, then I came across these, which are some GridServe electric highway chargers. So that's good. I don't know why they're separate to the other chargers that are sort of down there a bit, but that's quite good. I've heard some good things about GridServe, so that's handy to know there's some of those. How many were there? 2 of those here at Fleet Services, so that's good. It's not a very big services this, so there's a reasonable number of chargers, but as you might expect, if you've got a Tesla, you're very well served at these services, more so than anything else. So eventually I make it to the front of the queue at the EV charging station, and it was at that point that I discovered something that I hadn't realised before about EV charging stations. Apparently you need to be driving an EV to use one. I know, they wouldn't charge up my diesel Range Rover. And I don't know about you, but that is a woke conspiracy, isn't it? It's a woke conspiracy against diesel Range Rovers. Perfectly legitimate cars. It's all a conspiracy, isn't it? It's all a conspiracy. I know. I follow John Redwood on X. That bastion of clear-minded debate. You must know it. Lots of people on there called Dave who have an icon of a motorbike and know everything there is to know about electric vehicles, having never been within 500 miles of one. But they know what it's like. They know what it's like. They know, and everything they say, completely true. Completely true. Probably got it from the newspapers, because they're right as well, aren't they? So I'm just leaving the M3, and so I've been on the M3 motorway, so M27 and M3 for an hour. and my average now is 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. So that's pretty good. I thought it was going to, drop below 3, if I'm being honest. I just kind of thought that it would. I used the cruise control on the Aria, which is nice. It's got lane assist, lane keep thing, and the sort of, it's not really hands-free. You have to keep your hands on the wheel, but it does make motorway driving really nice. There's no doubt that any driving in an ICE car can be stressful, but particularly motorway driving, I think. But in an EV, I feel as fresh as a daisy. Whether that will still be the case when I've done 180 odd miles or whatever I'm going to possibly do today, because how many miles have I done? I've done 63 miles. I don't feel like I've done that many miles, actually. I really don't. So anyway, I've got to kind of concentrate on the road here, because I'm now on the kind of, well, these are sort of the roads that I'm used to driving on, really. But I'm on my detour now. I'm going to Windsor, but I've pulled off the motorway. I'm not heading to Windsor straight away, because my meeting's not for a while yet. Traffic lights are out here, so I'm just going to negotiate this. There's some supposed to be TTLs, but the traffic lights aren't working, so that's not very good, is it? So thank you. I wonder how long they're going to sit there for. Yeah, oh yes, happy days. Yeah, a bit of a queue. So anyway, I'm taking a detour, and my meeting is now, it's 10:15, my meeting starts at 12:30, so I've got a bit of time to kill, and what I'm doing is I'm heading for the town that I spent the majority of my childhood in, from the age of about 3 to 14, and it is almost, and this is going to age me somewhat, viewers, it is 40 years almost to the day since my family moved away from the place that I'm going to go and visit today. 40 years. So, but for me, that place, I still think of it as home, even though I lived there for just over 10 years and I haven't been there for decades. I still consider it home, really, even though I've lived on the south coast for far longer. It's weird, isn't it? So I'm going to go there. Now, of course, I have been back over the years a few times, but the people that I grew up with there, my friends, who I think very highly of, have scattered to the four corners of the earth, frankly, and, Ionic 5. And I don't see them very often, but they're the sort of people, and if you've got friends like this, you will know what I mean, that when I see them, I might not have seen them for 20 years, and suddenly I'll see them at an event or something, and it's like I just saw them 5 minutes ago, there's no one else in my life that I've met since the age of 14 that I would feel like that with. So it's a bit weird, isn't it? But there we are, such is life. So I'm going to go back, but because when I've been back, I tend to go back to kind of areas that are not there, not the street that I actually grew up in. I have been back to that street, but not very often. And if I am, I'm normally with someone else, or I'm going to see somebody, and you don't really get a chance to be particularly nostalgic. Whereas today I'm on my own. So it's a real trip down memory lane for me. I'm going to hopefully just kind of go for a walk and just kind of get all nostalgic. And you can come with me. And don't worry, I'm not going to get too kind of, starry-eyed about it. I'm just going to have a mooch about and just kind of see just how much the place has changed in 4 decades. John Redwood is on that X, John Redwood. He's a Conservative MP, John Redwood. John Redwood, like Jacob Rees-Mogg, you must have heard of him. John Redwood, who's clearly got to the pinnacle of his career. He's been MP for Wokingham since 1987. There's a constituency that thinks carefully about who it's going to elect. Looks at all the pros and cons, and the vote's Conservative every time. That's a constituency where the Conservatives could put a wheelie bin up as their candidate and it would still poll 98% of the vote. But only if it was a British wheelie bin and it was emptied weekly. The likes of John Redwood and Jacob Rees-Mogg on X, they know what they're talking about, don't they? Because they're elected MP, so they must know what they're talking about. They must look at all the facts, mustn't they? They must check everything carefully before they then decide what their policies are going to be. I mean, they haven't got vested interests, have they? Any of these people, have they? Not at all. Well, I'm just driving past the infant school and the junior school that I went to, which is literally right at the bottom of the road that I grew up in, and they've slightly changed the name of the infant school. Here it is. Here's the infant school just on my left here, and the road that I grew up in is just here, and I'm actually gonna turn into it and just see whether I can park. It's easier said than done, I think, as is the way of the world these days. But Wokingham, I can criticise Wokingham because I used to live there. I managed to escape though. To get out of Wokingham, you have to drive very, very quickly around the ring road until you can break out of that feeling of despair. You can't say things like that, really. I have to apologise, I can't say things like that. Wokingham hasn't got a ring road. As I was driving up, I passed another Aurora Green Nissan Aria, and I waved like that, and he left me hanging. So I haven't walked up here, goodness, since I was 14. There's a Tesla. Of course there's a Tesla. Now over here is, this feels really weird because this is an alleyway that I used to walk down a lot on the way home from school, and it just feels, I literally have not walked down here for 40 years, and I assume you can still get through. It's a bit overgrown, isn't it? It's a bit overgrown over there. I don't remember it being quite as overgrown as that down there, but here we are. There's a little gap down here. That's what I used to walk through when I was knee-high to a grasshopper, and there's a set of garages here, and my old house will be over here somewhere. I thought there was going to be a lot more parked cars. I thought the thing I'm going to see when I come here for the first time in 40 years is going to be a ton of parked cars that I'm not used to seeing. But just going to walk down here. Oh yeah, this road is kind of a bit beaten up now. So, okay, it looks so small. It looks so, I was 14 when I moved away from here, but it looks so small. I can't get over it. That's the house that I used to live in. There, that one there, number 33. That hasn't changed massively. And then down here, was a set of allotments. I didn't used to go in the allotments. My friend's mum did. She used to go in there, but so this is weird. I haven't seen. I'm going to go and stand over here because I'm going to cut in a bit of film from about 1979, 1980, something like that. And it was probably, I was probably stood about here, and it was over there. And this is what it looks like now. Completely different. Yeah, just a little bit different. Not as different as I thought it was going to be, in all honesty. Not as different as I thought it was going to be. There's number 33. I better not film it too much. They'll say, what are you doing? What are you doing? My friend used to live down the end there, number 30. A friend over there, 29. Friends up there. Yeah, it feels really weird to be here actually. Very, very, very strange. Very strange. I've seen quite a few electric cars, or Kona parked around the corner there, not far from that Tesla that I saw when I was walking up the road, so that's quite good. And I saw another couple of other garages that had leads, very suspicious looking leads that were kind of
poking out the bottom of the garage door. One of my neighbours actually has done that. Obviously put the charger in the garage and then has a little lead kind of poking out the bottom. Now this here, oh yes, I remember this. Now again, see, this looks a bit weird because I remember in this set of garages, this kind of slope here, and this feeling a lot bigger. But then, I don't know, I suppose I was littler. So I'm going to walk up this slope here, and there's a little pathway here that goes down towards the railway station down there. In fact, there's a railway track. You can just sort of see it down there. There's a railway track there. And if I walk over this bridge, oh look, somebody's drawn some cats. Okay. That's good. It's nicer than the graffiti that's on the other side of the bridge. But there we go. There's the railway station, and there's a train just coming out of the station now. Is that a diesel? Nah, it's an electric. Must be electric. So I remember here there was a lich gate, I think. So that's gone. And we're going up here now to the church, which is just up here. Now my grandparents are here somewhere. I thought they were literally just here somewhere. I literally thought they were just here. I'm gonna have a little hunt and see if I can find them. So I found my grandparents' resting place here, and I meant to bring some flowers, and I'm quite cross with myself because when I stopped off at the services just for a comfort break, and here was me busy talking about EV chargers, and I meant to get some flowers. I don't know if there were any there. I feel a bit bad. I might walk up just up the road there and see if I can find some, bring some flowers back. Now I don't even recognise this. This is I've walked down towards the railway station, and I have to say I'm completely lost. So I think that must be a new road. There was a road, it's called Station Approach. I don't remember that ever being here actually. No, I think you came down, yeah, you came down to the station a different way. Wow, this is different. This looks a bit posh. It didn't look anything like this when I was here 40 years ago. I mean, this looks like a proper railway station. You know, like the thing I saw, it was like something out of Trumpton when I lived here. So, yeah, I mean, this is nuts. Look at this. It's got sliding doors and everything. I can remember, this is showing my age now, but the booms have just gone down there at the railway station, and I can remember when I was a lad and I used to walk up here, you used to see up in that building there, which is all automated now, there's no people up there, and there'd be a bloke in there and you'd see him wander over and there'd be a big wheel, and he'd turn the wheel, and then the gates, they didn't shut down like that, they used to shut like that. And yeah. I was most disappointed when they changed it for one of these ones where you have to come over and then just push a button for them to come down. Very disappointed I was when they did that, because now it's just fully automated. It takes all the fun out of life, doesn't it really, things like that, automation. I shouldn't say that, I work in tech. Now when I was growing up, there was a Londi's here, it's now a Nissan local. I just wonder whether they might have had some flowers or something that I could take up the way. They're not going to have flowers in there, are they? I might be able to put a bar of fruit and nut on the grave. Not sure that's going to have quite the same impact though. I was thinking that it's slightly bonkers that this journey that I've taken, and it's cheaper and much more convenient for me to do this journey in my EV than it is in using public transport. And that's just not right. There is no way that should be a thing. Public transport should always be the cheaper and more convenient option than using your car. It's crazy. Bloody hell. Look at all these houses. Look at all these modern house flats and things. I don't recognise any of this. I could be on the moon. I do not recognise any of this. This is just so different. I don't even have any idea where I am. Wow. My dad used to manage a shoe shop here somewhere, and it's changed so much I can't even begin to tell you within about 500 feet of where that would have been. This is nuts. So I found a florist, and she's just making me up a little bunch of flowers that I can go and put on my grandparents' graves. That's nice. So she said it'd be about 5 minutes. So I'm just going to have another wander up here. Probably get hopelessly lost again. I genuinely have no idea where I am, because all these buildings are obviously, I mean, none of these were here 40 years ago, but I'm trying to think what was actually here. Was it a field? I have no idea. I don't even know. I have no idea where I am. There's some older buildings up here. I might have a little look, because I might recognise something in a minute. I found somewhere I recognise. This, I think, is where my dad's shoe shop used to be, just around the corner here. Long gone, of course, now. Yeah, I recognise this. Ah, yes. Hi, somewhere I recognise. Thank goodness. Yeah, this is like the main town centre. Yeah, I recognise this now. Thank goodness. All that other stuff, completely new, messed with my head massively. But this I recognise. Not sure. I think the shoe shop might have either been where Ladbrokes is, or Sears the estate agent. I can't quite remember. So I got some flowers made up in the shop there, and they've done a really lovely job. They look terrific, these. So I'm going to go and put those on the grave, so that'll be nice. Just a little bit of colour and a little bit, just to, you know, say I'm thinking of them. And then head back to the car and go off for my meeting. I've just had a WhatsApp message from one of the people who's at the meeting saying there's a lot of traffic. He's coming from a completely different direction to me. So I don't think I have to rush. Let's put it that way. Now this might surprise you. I was once an angelic chorister at this church behind me, and I have these vivid memories of singing the solo at Christmas at the midnight. I think it was once in Royal David City, probably. And I remember after that, crossing over that bridge we walked over a little bit earlier on, as I don't know, at 1 o'clock in the morning, on my own, because that's what you did back then. Jesus, nobody thought anything of it. Anyway, let's put these flowers on the grave. Well, I just got back to the car just as it started raining, so I couldn't have timed that more perfect. So, yeah, I need to get going to Windsor now. It's about a half an hour journey from here to get to my meeting. And let's just put my seatbelt on and see what kind of the situation is. So average now 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour, which is fine, I've done 72 miles. And I've got 159 miles left on the GOM. So as things stand at the moment, I could get to the meeting and get home without having to charge. Let's see what it's like when I get to Windsor. It's all a conspiracy, isn't it? Because I know, because I saw the adverts advertising Brexit from Leave campaign. And I know that now, because Brexit is a thing and it has happened, and I saw the adverts on social media, all the hospitals now are completely empty. The doctors, they have nothing to do. They've nothing to do, the doctors, anymore. Nothing. They're all bored. The hospitals are empty because we're spending £350 million extra a week, and the doctors now are bored. They've got nothing to do. The waiting rooms are empty. I know, I saw the adverts from Leave. It must be true. It must be true. It was on Facebook. When I left the junior school that was at the bottom of the road there, I went off up to senior school. That was down the road a little bit. So I used to get the train. And I can remember, as I got off the train at Winnersh, no, it wasn't. It was when I got home. When I went from Winnersh back to Wokingham and I got off the train at Wokingham, the station announcer every day would be going, Bracknell, Escott, Sunningdale, Long Cross, Virginia Water, Egham, Staines, Felton, Richmond, Clapham Junction and Waterloo. So if I learned anything at school, it wasn't the periodic table, it were the station stops between Wokingham and Waterloo. So for whatever reason, the Sat Nav has decided not to take me on the M4. I thought it was going to take me on the M4, but it has decided instead to take me around the kind of backwaters. Now, of course, when I lived round here, I didn't drive a car, so I'm going to trust the technology to direct me the optimum route to my destination. So it's kind of taking me down sort of
little twisty-turny B roads at the moment, which I can't believe that's going to be quicker than the motorway would have been. But, you know, hey, what do I know? That is really directing me down all the back roads here. I can remember when I was a kid and I lived in Wokingham, a friend of mine and myself, we decided that we would cycle to Windsor. So I think that might be the only other time I've ever been to Windsor, was when I cycled there from Wokingham. And when we got there, it turned out to be a lot further than we thought. And when we got there, we turned around and went home again. Yes. So a worthwhile trip all round there, I'm sure you'll agree. So I've arrived in Windsor and it's raining, and according to the blurb here, I've done nearly 89 miles and I've got 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour is the average, and I've got 143 miles left on the GOM. So on that basis, I'd be able to get home without having to rapid charge. So I'm just going to find somewhere to park and then go to my meeting, and then it'll be the journey home. So I think, and this is the conspiracy, that what we should do is we should be driving around in our diesel 4x4s, revving our engines as much as we possibly can, so we can fill up those hospitals with lots of sick people breathing in the fumes from the back of our cars. We'll be doing them a favour, won't we? Because we don't want all those doctors to be out of work, do we? We don't want them all to be out of a job, sitting around in those empty hospitals, do we? No, we don't, do we? So we're doing them a favour, aren't we, by driving around in our diesels? Yes. All you EV drivers with your democratic electricity, driving around with your clean engines, keeping people healthy. I mean, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? The hospitals are empty, the doctors are all going to be out of a job, and it's all your fault. Okay, so I'm out of my meeting, which is good. It's coming up to 4 o'clock. So we're starting with 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour as my average on this trip so far. I've done 89.4 miles and I have 140 miles on the GOM. And from here, let's just check the maps. It is 83 miles. So that should leave me with 50, 60 odd miles on the GOM when I get back. And if my motorway driving is anything as it was coming up, then I should be able to get back without actually having to rapid charge, which will be good. So let's get going then, and we'll see what the figures tell us at the end of this epic journey when I get home. I was just thinking, I must have been to Windsor apart from the time that I came up here on my push bike for no reason whatsoever. I must have been, because it wasn't that far away from Wokingham. I can't believe that I hadn't been here some other, but I can't recall it if I did. So I had a nice little drive through Windsor town, past the castle, and then on through the park, and then past the racecourse, and it was all very pleasant. It would have been even nicer if I hadn't been stuck behind a bin lorry for a fair chunk of that little journey, but you know, it's a very nice part of the world, this actually. I was very lucky to sort of live up this way. But anyway, I'm just heading up towards the M3 now, so I'll be on the motorway again soon. And
there's 5-minute congestion on A322 in 1.5 miles. You are still on the fastest route.
Oh, okay. I was just about to say, which was tempting fate, that the traffic has actually been fine I've nearly done 100 miles and it's been fine. And I've got 52% battery left and we're 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour, so still kind of on course for getting home without having to charge. But I know that there's a couple of GridServe chargers on the southbound fleet services, so if I really have to, I will stop off there. I can see the traffic up ahead of me, so well, anyway, it is what it is. But I have to say, and I'm sure feel the same when I finish the journey, that I feel fresh. There's something about driving an electric car compared to an ICE car that is just so much more. Why cars? This is the way cars are supposed to be. So I've joined the M3. It's quite busy. It's Friday afternoon, so I suppose, you know. And I said earlier on that the signs above the carriageway, if you're reducing speed, don't affect the car or don't work if the car has got the auto speed thing switched on. Now that didn't work on the M3 further down when it just said, it was just numbers. It was like a big 50 in big yellow or orange, probably orange, isn't it? Orange numbers. But here we're currently on a 40 limit, and it's in it was still above the carriageway, but it was in a big circle. It looked like a proper road sign. And the car did detect that, and it did automatically adjust the speed from 70, whereas initially it was to 60, and then from 60, and we're now in a 40 limit, it's gone down to 40. It's doing it all by itself. So that actually has worked, and the cruise is controlled, the automatic speed adjustment, I mean, it's all working and all doing what it should. And it's very handy and just makes the whole driving experience that less stressful. Yeah, there's a bit of traffic on the road, but I'm actually having to do very little in the way of worrying about it, which of course is a good thing. Oh, now here we go. We're coming up now. I'm doing 40, and there's speed now. It's changed to 50 up ahead. So let's see. It should adjust itself. You can't see this, of course, because clearly I can't use a camera when I'm driving. So it says 40. I'm about to go past the 50 sign, which is up there on a sign, and no, that didn't work that time. But it did work when it was directly in front of me, when it was directly above me. But that one was over that carriageway over there, and I'm in this carriageway, and it didn't work. So, okay, you know, mixed feelings on that one. I think it just shows that with all of this tech, you have still got to drive the car. You can't just mindlessly let it do its own thing. About to leave the motorway. I've gone down the M3, joined at junction 3, gone the full length of the M3, and then onto the M27. And I could, on the M27, I could actually keep going right to the end of the M27 and join the A31 heading towards Ringwood. But I tend to find that a long way. You go through the Ringwood and then down the Bournemouth Spur Road, and I find that the long way around. If people come to visit me from up country where I've just been, that's the way they tend to go. But I prefer to go through the New Forest. I find that a shorter route. I don't know whether it is actually. It probably is. But it's certainly a nicer route, I think. So that's the way I'm going to go today, which means I've got to leave the motorway. So let's have a look at the stats. Let's find the stat screen. And I'm still sitting on a 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour average. I've done 153 miles nearly today. Driving for 4 hours according to the computer, and I have 26% battery left. Started this morning at 97, and I've got 64 miles left on the GOM. So the interesting thing there, I suppose, is that that's going to give me a full range of closer to 215 miles, something like that, which is probably more realistic than the 260 odd that it's been telling me that 100% charge will give me, because that didn't make any sense. That's much more kind of what I'm expecting. Sort of 215 seems to make more sense to me. But the important thing is that if it is right with this 63 miles, and I've got 18 miles to go, so even if that 63 is completely wrong, I think I'm going to be okay. I don't think I'll be. My biggest fear, it wasn't really a fear, I wasn't that worried, was that I would not top up, I would not do a rapid charge, and then my battery would be getting really low in the New Forest, where there are no charges. So, but I kind of knew that if there was any risk of that happening, I would have pulled over at Fleet or Winchester and given myself a bit of a rapid charge. Not me, not myself, the car. I would have given the car a rapid charge. So anyway, there we go. So I'm just pulling off the M27 now, and I honestly thought I was going to be getting less than 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour. That is still what it's giving me, and that's even after going through some rather tricky traffic there on the M3. So overall, quite pleased. On the final leg now, 24 minutes to go, according to the system there, the navigation. So yeah, pretty good, and still feeling fresh as a daisy. That's what comes with driving an EV. Oh yes. So I'm nearing home now, and in total I've done 4 hours and 25 minutes driving, another couple of minutes to go. Done 170 miles, so might be a fraction more than that, but I actually stop the car shortly. And after quite a bit of motorway driving, not as much as I thought because it didn't direct me on the M4, but I still did a lot of miles on the M3 and the M27 there and back, and my average 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour, which, you know, is pretty good. I've got 20% battery left. Started this morning with 97, so I've done 170 miles, and I've got 49 miles left on the GOM. So there's me thinking, oh, I might have to rapid charge. I'm not even close. Not even close. The battery hasn't even gone red. It's 20%. So that's pretty good. And most important of all, I had a nice little mooch around an old haunt, which was good. And also, I feel fresh, having driven my lovely EV. If I'd done this journey, 170 miles I've done today, if I done this journey in an ICE car, I'd be absolutely shattered now. I'm not saying I want to go out for a run or anything, but I feel fine. This is the way driving should be. It's so much better. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you've got any comments to make or any questions to ask about the Aria and about the journey today, then do post them down below because I love to read them. If you're new here, I would love you to subscribe. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. And who knows what it might be about. I do some running. I do videos about EVs. Also, heat pumps, solar panels, got all sorts of really interesting stuff coming up on the channel, all about that. So please do subscribe, really would appreciate that. And tell your friends about the channel as well, because I'd love to get some more subscribers. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for another video really soon.